welcome. We are here for two for a few. I'm Victor Pimentel from Brazil. Work with Geosynthetics for around 20-something years. And next to me here, I have Vinicus Benjamim, one of the most recognized geosynthetic consultants of Brazil, owner of Eng Consultoria, with whom I had the great pleasure of presenting the Zornberg Lecture in GeoAmericas 2024 here in Toronto. So, Vincius, it's a great pleasure to have you here. First of all, I want to say that it was very pleasing to me during the last year being able to meet you more times and discussing about the aspects that we brought to our lecture about contrasts and opportunities that we have in US and Canada compared to Latin America and Caribbean. This is how we consider the differentiation in between the regions. And I wanted to hear from you about the motivation for choosing this theme and how you're feeling about it.
Thank you, Victor. It's been a great pleasure to work in this presentation since we were invited by Francisco. And we started discussing at the beginning about which topic would be interesting. And we had the same opinion that geosynthetics is the same everywhere, but the application changes from some regions. In America, we have this conference that we have in a lot of places in the world. Like we have GeoAfrica, EuroGeo, we have GeoAsia, that basically we know that these regions, they're gonna kind of work in the same way. And then let's change our experience. But in America, it's very different. Like it's a huge continent, different climate, different social developments. So in one conference like this, we can discuss like the best applications, but sometimes we have to discuss and come back to the beginning and, okay, well, how can we do the best use of geosynthetics? So in your opinion, like, how do you think it's in America, the difference? And
yeah, it's a very interesting point, because if we compare the Americas here, North and Latin America, and we think about the other regions in the world, perhaps this region presents the most, the biggest gaps on social, economical, even weather and topographical type of soils. I don't know, but it may be the region that presents the biggest differences that perhaps leads us to, like we said, different problems to solve. But it's not actually, in my opinion, that the problems are different. They may be in different stages, like when you say water and wastewater or landfills. In countries like US and Canada, you see that the private sector is present, like administrating and managing those sites. And sometimes in Latin America, for instance, in Brazil, like you showed, we have some regions that has lower GDPs per capita, and where the municipalities manage the landfills and things like this. So we see huge differences on the technologies that are applied, but not because they don't know what to do or the geotechnical society in that country doesn't know what to do. It's because the financial resources or the resources that are available to solve the problem takes us to a different reality. And regulations also, right? So like you showed in your presentation, a very nice example of a private installation. I think it was a mining installation next to a municipal landfill. How you can see the state of the art with geosynthetics in a private mine installation, while just next to it, you're using like one layer of geomembrane because previously nothing was used. So I think you should see several examples like that in Brazil and perhaps in Latin America, right?
Yep. So basically, we have very nice sessions during the conference showing landfills in North America with double liner and leak detection, CQA. And we have the same experience in some sites in Brazil, South America, but sometimes it's not, we don't have enough money to work in the sites, but we always can do our best and use the geosynthetics, like, okay, I'm going to use just a compacted clay or a GCL and a geomembrane and do the best with that type of material. Okay, but it's hazard waste, it's a mining site, it's a private sector. Okay, so the regulators are going to ask to do the same thing. As I showed one site that we had everything. So this is the thing. And we also face some problems sometimes that should be discussed. And it is discussed about quality and everything. And so that's why it's so interesting this conference, because we have like discussion session, training lectures, and everyone that comes to a conference can improve and get the same stage. But one thing that we saw a lot in this conference was discussions about sustainability and diversity. How do you think that geosynthetics can help for these goals that we have?
Sustainability is all around us, right? Like we are listening every day to these new sustainability terms, net zero. When you go to your hotel, they say, oh, help us to be net zero. Don't put your towel to wash every day if you can reuse it, and so on. When I was coming, like I said in the presentation, there was this question in the airline company saying that if I want to pay $40 more to make my flight net zero, so carbon offsets, CO2 equivalents, those are all new terms that are coming and that we are getting used to on our daily lives. And geosynthetic can contribute so much about that. Like IGS with the Sustainability Committee, IGS Foundation is doing a great push on that. IGS has just launched the IGS Sustainability Calculator, where you can translate those advantages in numbers, right? And so I think this will help so much for the technology to be seen as a very effective solution to help the world be more sustainable. One thing that we didn't have time in the presentation that I wanted to show is how solutions that compete with geosynthetics, like let's say concrete, not that they compete exactly, but in some applications the use of geosynthetics can reduce the use of concrete. Concrete is responsible for 8% of the total emissions of CO2. And the concrete technology experts, they are looking for alternatives, because the engineering community as a whole is starting to question the use of concrete, in the amount that it's used. So geosynthetics is an option. Yeah, and so I think there are so many things that geosynthetics can bring, and making this relation specifically to Latin America, the sustainability aspect together with the geosynthetics application, considering the UN goals for sustainability that we presented, that previously we had Nathalie Tusifos presenting in the Zornberg Lecture, we see that half of those goals are related to worldwide problems like clean energy, sustainable cities, things like that, problems that affect the whole world. And some of them are specifically related to the problems we face in the southern hemisphere, like Latin America and other continents, like hunger, poverty, things like that, clean water. So in your personal experience, what can you say about what is being done with geosynthetics in these specific topics that are related to the daily life of the South American continent?
Yeah. We always had the same opinion that geosynthetics, it's an innovation, but when it's cheaper, it's when it has a lower cost than other solutions. Now we can also understand that geosynthetics is an innovation also when it's more sustainable than other solutions. And it's very nice. And of course, in South America, especially in the South Hemisphere, we have several applications like feeding the world. We have the use of geomembranes for these big reservoirs, water reservoirs, and we have wastewater treatment. We have biodigesters in farms. We have a lot of opportunities for connecting people using geotextiles in pavements and geogrids, and especially for retaining walls. The case we showed about for a bridge connecting Brazil and Paraguay, and how important the geosynthetics were in the site. But we also try to show something different. Like in Brazil, have a different experience about the use of what the people call here marginal soils. For us, most of the time is the site soil.
The only soil available.
And we agree that we have like a very good soil, a sandy soil, and can be sometimes technically much better. But we have a different experience with soils in Brazil, and we have been developed a great experience about these retaining walls with this kind of soils. And one thing that maybe we're going to talk in the future is the use of local soils is going to be much more sustainable. So if you can develop a project, and of course you're going to do everything like drainage to protect the soil, the solution is going to be much more sustainable. So what's your opinion? You construct a lot of retaining walls in Brazil. What's your opinion about the use? What's your experience about the use of the soils?
It's a nice question, because we think about the same. Like sometimes what we call internationally marginal soils, because they're fine-grained, they're the only soils available. And at the time we learn how to deal with them, how to compact them appropriately, how to drain the reinforced mass, keeping it non-saturated, things like that, we end up having very efficient structures. So, and that brings another advantage, like you said, that there's the new variable that is the reduction of carbon footprint. This is huge when you compare to other solutions that you have to bring soils from another area or had to take local soil to somewhere else. Right? So the experiences we are having are totally feasible technically. We can control the long-term performance of the structure. We are used to work with those type of soils there to control the quality of the final compacted soil. So it's something that we learned from the earth dam engineering in Brazil. Now, as if you could bring your final words, like on the general theme that we brought, contrasts and opportunities, and we mentioned the sustainability aspect together with the current reality in Latin America. What could you say about what you expect for the future, for the investments that will come to the region, and how can we as a learned society, IGS, what IGS is doing with its committees, with the young that are coming. What is your whole opinion about how geosynthetics can take advantage of this moment?
I believe that geosynthetics solutions were always sustainable since the beginning. But now we have to start speaking louder. We have the targets for global warming and for the next years, and when you have this opportunity like in this conference, and we have like IGS Foundation and all the effort that IGS is doing for this, it is gonna be each more every year. Like we will be able to show how geosynthetics are gonna be successful for these targets.
Okay, Vinicus, it's a great pleasure to have you here. It's a great pleasure to deliver the Zornberg Lecture with you. I'm sure.